Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn. This is Jason.
And this is Kai, and we have another great discussion for you today. The movie of the day is A Perfect Murder. It's from '98, so it's older. We're born in the '90s, so we don't want to say old, but still want to give everyone a spoiler warning.
Yeah, it's from 1998, A Perfect Murder by Andrew Davis, and it is very suspenseful and it has a wild ending. So we probably will spoil the ending, but it
Yeah.
is something can
I
catch you
actually
by
got
surprise.
mad at the movie
Yeah.
like halfway through. Like I was watching it. So I was watching uh Big Little Lies, the HBO show. I
Um.
had watched that, just finished it. That was twists and turns and drama all over. So watching A Perfect Murder was like a perfect transition into a movie. And I'm watching it, I'm super into it. I already know, like, okay, I'm gonna give it this rating. Like, this is like 15 minutes into the movie. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna give it this rating for sure. And then one of the first twist happens, and I'm pissed. I'm like, nope, I hate this movie. I thought about turning it off for like 5 minutes. I was like, like, there's no way that this is gonna be how the movie ends. Like, this is how the rest of this movie is gonna play out. And then I was like, nah, I gotta finish it. We gotta talk about it today. And it ended up being a lot. Like the next twist made up for that first twist.
Yeah, it seemed like the things were playing to the audience where it's like just to piss them off or like throw them
Yeah.
off guard and everything. And this is fairly 1998, so it's quite a while ago and stuff. So like in terms of like we're used to like these murder mysteries nowadays that like have like twists and turns and they're very complex and everything. This one uh did have I'm assuming you're talking about the like the guy hiring a different person to murder,
Yes.
right? Okay, yeah, I know. I thought about that. I was like, man, it's like, see, I was like ready for them to like. I was like, because like, all right. The whole time when Michael Douglas, the character, shows up and he finds out that his wife is still alive, and he's
Hmm.
pissed, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
dude, that's easy. Like, just say like the dude's gonna be the spout or like the boyfriend that she's having an affair
Oh,
with,
David.
yeah, and be like, you're off clean. Like, you're like, I don't
Hmm.
know, like maybe they had an argument.
Whoopsie.
They wanted my money, her money. I don't know. And so he can play into that. But
Yeah.
then it was good to see that. I don't know. I felt like I was like, oh, that does kind of change things up because like I feel like he had a better play if it was the actual boyfriend that was killed. And
Yeah.
then because we saw that like the police officer noticed like, oh yeah, you're kind of like a little too in tune with this, and then he goes and like runs
Hmm.
over to his wife to cry with her, and so like the typical douchebag husband that like it like either murdered his family and stuff and like pretends to be like all crying and everything, but but it was the I don't know, I did think like, yeah, there's like things that like I kind of thought when like Gwyneth Paltrow, the wife, when she kind of finally starts to find out more about the boyfriend and goes to her husband and says like, oh, like, why'd you do this, and they're talking in his office about like
Hmm.
the key. I was
Yeah.
telling Patty, I was like, if this is true, like if she actually believes this, like this is horrible acting on Gwyneth Paltrow's like, and then I was like, man, like she's horrible. And then it turns out like she was playing him and
Yeah.
everything. So
She was
I was
plotting
like,
her own scheme. Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, all right, well, that kind of makes up for that. Because I was like, if that was really her acting, I was like, man, that sucks. But
Like, how is she still getting work today?
right.
What's going on?
But
My, I guess before we get into our typical questions, I had some notes
yeah.
like I usually do. There's when I first saw Michael Douglas's like Office, I instantly thought of Gordon Gekko from Wall Street, who is also Michael Douglas.
Say this guy like knows how to play a rich dude like pretty
Yeah,
well.
The Game, freaking
The
Wall Street one
Game,
and
yeah.
two. I've never seen him play a poor guy,
And like, dude, some that office is the size of some people's apartments. I think that was the size
dude.
of my first apartment here.
Yeah, that man. It was just his office with a beautiful view. Like it's like what?
And he has like a what an old telescope. He has like the
Yeah,
typical. Like, I'm
Rich
rich. I
guy.
have crap in my office that I
Yeah.
don't use. No one knows.
Like, this is all unnecessary, but I need it to show how much money I have.
And we assume he's a hedge fund manager, right? Because that's how they
Yeah.
typically looked at. Like, granted, I don't know how real it is, like what he was looking at, but like him just staring off at the screens and everything.
He says 10 screens he's looking at. It's all
Yeah.
green.
Pretend you're making money. Just stare at the screens.
Look at all the green on your screen.
Yeah, it's an impressive office. I saw it and
Oh yeah.
I was like, I want an office like that, or I want an office like his house office, like just
Oh my
mahogany and
goodness.
everything. I want like those
That
old like.
house is beautiful too.
Okay, so do you see it as like is it a townhouse? Because
No, it's
it's like,
they probably have a whole floor.
yeah, right. It's like
Hmm.
well, it goes up. I saw flights of stairs inside the
Yeah.
thing, so it's like two
Which they never
floors.
went up.
Yeah, right.
They
Like it
only
seemed like
stayed
they
on the
just
bottom.
lived, unless like I don't know. It just seemed like everything was right there on the first floor.
Yeah. They had their bedroom there. They had the balcony, the kitchen.
The kitchen, everything. I don't know. My girlfriend was like, when like you meet the Gwyneth Paltrow's like family, who's like also like
Oh, just
they seem like
even
they're old
crazier
money,
money.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Like that's why they like have like disdain for him, because like he's like new
Ugh,
money.
you
He has
just
to
got
he
this.
has to work for his money.
They're living off trust funds and shit.
Yeah, and then she has like Carlos coming in and like serving her food. I forget who it was. Whatever the person's name. And my girlfriend was like, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want someone serving me food. I'm like, that's the whole reason why you have money. People can
Yeah,
do
basically.
things.
All you have to do is send them a text, hey, I want this, and they have to
Yeah,
go get it. It's like it's free Uber Eats.
yeah,
To us,
yeah. Be like,
kinda.
I want a rib roast, and that's what he says to the other lady.
And they didn't even eat it.
Yeah,
He's like, oh,
right.
we
It's
should
a.
we should eat it before the game, and he just leaves like, I gotta go to catch up with everybody, and just leaves it, and then she almost gets murdered.
And then she comes back probably. Was like, no one fucking ate this. Come on.
Nobody touched the roast, and there's blood all over my floors because she's the one that had to clean it up.
Oh yeah. They were like telling her like, I better come back tomorrow, and it's done too.
This better be spotless. No one touched your roast, also. Uh, so that was the first one. And then I know we've been, since the last few movies we watched were older films, and we talked about how the directors would stay in that scene for a while. Like it was very slow with the pacing.
Mhm.
But this one, you saw, like, it was drastic how many cuts there were. Like you would
Yeah.
be on a wide, then you would cut to like a close up, and then cut to over the shoulder. And I was just like, goodness, there's too many
It does
cuts.
seem like that, like the like going back to the scene of like in his office, like you brought up his office,
Yeah.
going back to his wife asking about like, why can't I find my key? Like that scene
Hmm.
would have been perfect if it was like a wide shot. You just left them to like wander around the room, but no
Yes.
cuts. Like they're just
Yes.
walking around, showing the size of the office, maybe showing the possible like belief of power that Michael Douglas's character
Yeah.
believed he had over her at that moment. Like she's dumb. She doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Hmm.
Like showing that, but without all the cuts, it almost seems like, yeah, like it destroys the moment by having all these cuts. But do you think the director or whoever makes these movies at that time like believe like the cuts like add to the thrill and everything? Like, oh, it's
I don't
suspenseful, and then like cutting to the person's face and everything.
I don't know if it was that whole, because a lot of people talk about how the French New Wave changed cinema. So I don't know if that's what made movies go from very slow and well thought out scenes to multiple cuts and shots. So I don't know if that's to blame, or if the 90s were just like, we're changing everything. We're giving you a close up, we're giving you a wide shot, we're giving you an over the shoulder. You deal with it. I don't
I,
know.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah. We grew up in the 90s, and the 90s were wild, where it's like a lot of people just did some random crap
Oh yeah.
and had no explanation for it. So whether or not nowadays they probably look in hindsight, yeah, it was the French New Wave that made me do that. No, It was probably you just wanting to be weird.
We can reference Train Spotting. Freaking Ewan McGregor crawling into a toilet.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, who would think of that? Just have him crawl into the toilet. It's gonna be a whole new world. It's like, what? It'd be genius. The studio head's like, you got it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
greenlit for this movie.
Thumbs up. You got 5 more movies after this.
Here's $10 million. Oh, oh, so I don't understand what it is about TV shows and movies. I mentioned Big Little Lies because similar situation happened in that. But anytime someone gets caught when they're having an affair, they just become the most dramatic person in the world.
Like like in this scenario, the wife, right?
Yeah, she was when he finally said like, "I know about your lover," and she's just like, "Oh my gosh, I still love you," and can't believe I did that. And it's like, really?
Yeah,
You were
right.
not
Like
doing
you
any of that
flip
when
the
you were
script,
sleeping
like
around.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah, like she's
And
the
then
victim.
why not continue the live? Like, what are you talking about? Who cares?
I've
Like,
never met this man in my
see
life.
how much they know. I think that's like the
Yeah.
thing too.
Well, he
Uh,
whipped the pictures out quick, so she was just like, "Oops,
I can be a totally different person.
that's not me." What do you mean? That's not me. That's
I'm
someone
not
that
holding
looks
up
like
my
me.
ID. That's not me.
So that like, and then the last, well, one of the last ones was the most random cameo. I don't even know if you know who this guy is, but when she got back from her mom's house, she went to the ambassador or the US or the UN, that house or whatever. She's
I
speaking with the ambassador.
are you gonna like I know exactly where I know him from,
Oh, you
but
do? Okay.
is it where you know where?
Yes, yes. I didn't know if you would from freaking Frontline on Chappelle Show.
Yeah, I was telling
Yes.
Fatty, I was telling Fatty, my girlfriend, I was like, oh, that's the guy, that's the news guy in Chappelle's show.
As soon as I saw him, I started dying. Like, no, he's actually in a movie.
I know you're
Oh,
like hoping like it like that was real and everything.
no, but then I looked up his credits because he didn't really, because the ambassador said his title, but then if you look up his name in IMDb, he doesn't have that title. He just has a name. His name is Harrington.
Oh, weird. Isn't he like in that scenario? He's like a lawyer, right?
Yeah, or he's like some financial
Yeah, like
something.
because like that's where she learns that like oh he's actually in like a really big hole
Yeah,
financially, right?
yeah,
I was still thinking to myself like when like dudes when like people do that like they're having like they're gambling with other people's money like we're seeing a lot of like news about that right now basically like they like literally he was gambling other people's money
yeah.
and trying to win big. He lost big but then try to win big after it to make up for it and everything. And that's what the guy was telling him, right? Telling her that
Hmm.
like the banks were like covering it up, but like he is like
He's in
down
debt.
and out. Yeah, he's like done and everything. That was an interesting thing too because it's like, yeah, like where would she have gone if she didn't uh, work for the UN and didn't have like possible powerful people? So like where well, she's powerful herself technically, right? Because if she has money
Yeah,
and
but she has
everything,
money because of her family.
yeah, but still, like she has a crap ton of money. Like
Yeah.
we saw how much information, and we haven't even brought up Viggo Mortensen. Like I was
Oh
telling
yeah,
Patty, I was like, it's so odd. Like his face is so chiseled and everything. Like he
dude,
looks like
for real.
that dude that you. But and then no matter what, I can't see him other than being Aragorn in
Yes,
Lord of the Rings.
exactly. Every time I see that man, I'm like, oh, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's like the only way. Even though there's a movie, and I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a movie I've been wanting to watch with him in it. It's called A History of Violence, I think.
Is that the one with Jessica Chastain?
No, that's the
No, that's the
Most
most dangerous.
Violent Year.
Yeah, most violent year.
That one
No, I
actually
haven't
is a
seen that.
really good movie. A
That
History
is.
of Violence.
No, I haven't seen that one actually.
Um, yeah, it's directed by David Cronenberg.
No, I'm looking it up. Oh, from
Viggo
oh 05.
Mortensen, Mario Bello, um, Ed Harris too, the guy that's like in like he's the man in black in whatever
Yeah,
that HBO show.
in Westworld,
Yeah,
one of
there
my
you go.
favorites.
But as I digress into but what was I talking about?
History of Violence. Oh,
Yeah,
Vigo.
and then Viggo Mortensen and everything. So Viggo plays like this like eh, he's like an aspiring artist, right? That's kind of like
Yeah.
learned his
Well,
craft and everything and his but
quote
he
unquote
has
aspiring artist.
he has a different side of him
Yeah.
and is a career criminal of like killing off his girlfriends, right? That like are fairly
Yeah.
rich. Which
He tries to play it off like I would never do that.
I was like, why wouldn't Michael Douglas like Michael Douglas's character? He has like all of this money in the world. He gets like he gets off on being like powerful and like over Viggo Mortensen that he found out all this information because he can pay for that information. But when he gets double crossed by Viggo Mortensen,
Oh, he
Vigo's
becomes a child.
but then like why wouldn't you think that like the dude's an actual criminal? Like he's just some like
Yeah.
random rich dude that like is rich, but this guy is actually like has done crimes and everything. Whether or not he
Hmm.
like was trying to do it in that one sense and stuff, but like why I don't know, like why would you think that that was possible? Like are you like that dumb or something? Like I don't know.
Um, it seemed like he at some point, well, I guess he died, so I can't say at some point he just disappeared. Oh, I know you haven't asked like the things I like, but I'm gonna jump right into that.
Yeah, do it.
I
I was like thinking
actually like the pacing, even though I was complaining about the numerous cuts. I like the pacing of the movie. Like it was fast enough.
yeah, me too. I kind of second that where it's like I clicked on the movie and I was like, oh, like an hour and 40 minutes. I was like, back then it seemed like an hour and 40 minutes, unless they were like big epic movies like
Hmm.
the Lord of the Rings and the things that came later. Like an hour and 40 minutes was like what was typical, right? Right? Like
Yeah,
it seemed like that was
yeah.
a fairly typical kind of like going
Hour
for
30,
movies.
hour 40.
Yeah, and it didn't feel long. It didn't feel too rushed too either. Like
Mm-mm.
it seemed like at the end it picked up, but it didn't like fall off a cliff or they killed someone off and they try to like really like clean up the story afterwards and stuff. But yeah, I second that word. Like the pacing is actually really nice.
And I liked I liked the twist. I forgot there was some scene that I disliked, and I for some reason don't have it uh in my dislikes, but the twist of the killer not being David, being to some random guy that David hired. I like that. But when Stephen, Michael Douglas, kills David, one of the likes I have on here because of his outfit. The outfit he had, like the clear trench coat,
Uh
reminded me of Patrick Bateman from American Psycho.
yeah, the Christian Bale one.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that did too. And it I don't know what came first. Like is that like an homage
I
to
think this came first. I think
yeah, right?
Perfect Murder came first.
But yeah, that was a good scene. I was like, it seems like and then he walks off the train. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, like goodbye.
Normally you hear like screaming like, "Oh, we found a dead body,"
Right?
and nothing. He just walks off scot free.
Yeah, and then like Vigo is dead, kind of taking a train somewhere, and they'll
Yeah.
find him when they find him.
Last stop, and here's a dead body.
Yeah, right.
This bullet train before bullet train.
Right. But yeah, I second that too. I second pretty much everything that you said in terms of like the pacing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was really enjoying the story. It was like
Hmm.
it seemed like a very traditional kind of like thriller at some point and everything, but and then Michael Douglas like he's in like every rich white dude
Oh
like
yeah.
playing this powerful guy or whatever, like or so to believe the powerful guy. but this one was different. This one felt different and stuff, and he was sort of like this like mean dude. And I haven't seen Wall Street myself, but we have a comparison with like the game, where
Hmm.
the game he was sort of like this like unwittingly kind of like attending this like thing that was going on, so he was like more of like in the shock and suspense with us as the
Yeah.
viewer. This one, it was like you're more in shock and suspense of what he's doing and everything, and like just Michael Douglas kind of like going around trying to figure things out, but then he gets outplayed by the people around him.
Because he thought he was the smartest one.
Yeah, and he was the dumbest one, bro.
Dumbest for real. It's like, come on, man. He was such a powerful character in the beginning, and
Yeah,
then everything just crumbled.
yeah, and it's like you saw why she was probably thinking about leaving him, because it's like, yeah, maybe he's a douchebag and just like tells her what to do and everything, and
Yeah.
like where we're going is where I want to go and everything, and but yeah, in terms of like dislikes, I can't not compare it to the game, because
Okay.
and because like the cinematography I think in the game was like so much better. I feel like
Oh
the
yeah.
game was like shot.
Fincher.
Yeah, and that's the thing where it's like it's hard to not see Michael Douglas in like sort of like the same style movie,
Hmm.
but then not expect sort of the same kind of grittiness and really dark scenes too. I remember just looking back in my mind where like the game, there's a lot of dark scenes, there's a lot of
Yeah.
like dramatic, but that's where it's like, I don't know, man. It's like when you have that kind of threshold of like the David Fincher coming out with a movie like that,
Yeah.
it's hard to like, and granted, uh it's hard to like not want to emulate that, but I guess you kind of have to like not be David Fincher when you want to try to make a movie and stuff.
When
Like,
you try to make a David
yeah,
Fincher type
yeah,
film.
I know, right? Like, I want people to say my name. Like, no, people are gonna say David Fincher's name. That's the thing where it's like, I guess that kind of coincides with like the quick cuts and everything, but
Hmm.
I feel like, I don't know. It's just having like looking back on that. I feel like having the game in my head while I was watching the movie. I was like, like sometimes like I think David Fincher was able to add a little bit more emotion, grittiness to the camera, than this one. This one's kind of like a bright movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like most of the game was shot at night. Like this was all daytime.
Yeah, right. Or like bright, kind of like in his house and everything. His house is well lit.
Okay, why was she going to lunch at like 4 p.m.
Is that what time it
when he?
was?
I don't know. It looked like it was 4. It didn't look like
When he like caught
lunchtime.
her up and everything, where she was supposed to be
Yeah,
going
when he
meeting up.
surprised her.
Was it 4? It did seem like it
I
was
don't know
kind
if
of
it was
late, but
4. It seemed late. He's like, let's go
yeah,
have lunch. I'm like, dude, it's like 4.
that's what rich people do. They go
I
when like
guess.
when the peasants are not there anymore.
We're coming in for lunch, sir. It's
Yeah.
4 p.m. I know.
Yeah. Give me my
What?
table.
Clear my table.
I I guess so. She was so busy at the UN, just kind of
Oh
catching
yeah.
people saying the same speeches and doing things like that.
After he said it 3 months ago. It's like, really? That had to be a line? Like,
Yeah, like who
because
cares?
that didn't come back anywhere. That was so pointless.
Yeah, it did seem like, I guess the only thing that kind of like they put her working at the UN was to kind of bring it back, as that she used
Poor guy
who,
Harrington.
yeah, like she used that person that she like assisted
Hmm.
for like that one favor. But then yeah, like how else, like where else could you could have put her anywhere and everything, and she
Yeah.
could have used
She could have been a
the same
stay-at-home
resource.
wife.
Yeah,
And
and
she would have
just
been
called her
fine.
mom or something, or like
Yeah.
someone that she knows, her friend. I think they should have used her friend more,
Yeah, because
because
she
her
was like, I'm
friend
gonna
seemed
move
like
in
an
with her.
interesting character and everything.
They talked to her that one time when she was staying at her house for that one night, and it was probably too much of a peasant's house, so she left.
Yeah, and then like they try to like show her off as like the one that like the friend that kind of like is like under like really looking into this relationship, and it's like,
Yeah,
why show that if she's not actually gonna figure something out?
exactly. That was such a waste of time.
I don't know. Yeah.
Um, one of my dislikes was the twist of David being a rich guy and then wanting to kill his wife so he can get her fortune. I actually didn't like that twist at all. That seemed way too typical.
Yeah, it seems like yeah, like a fairly clear cut, like, oh,
Yeah,
like what other motive does he have? Like, oh, I guess he's a rich guy that's losing all his money. Like, okay, well,
yeah.
that happens all the time.
Like it would have been cool if he was just a rich guy that like he was just bored and like I'm sick of this lady, she's cheating on me. I'm gonna kill her. I was cool with
Yeah,
that premise.
yeah, I feel like that's more of a motive too. Like
Yeah.
she's making me look bad or something, or like for
Hmm.
him to believe that his like status is more than her. But
Like she's
like,
cheating on me with the artist that went to Berkeley. Like,
yeah, yeah, and then I have to go out to these events with her, and then she like goes off like, I guess like more make him look like a douchebag and everything, like
yeah,
make him build up as like that character that like, oh, and then fails at the end where it's like, yeah, like Gwyneth Paltrow's character can like figure it out and do it better than him, and then shoot him.
I don't know. So I had three dislikes. So that was the first one. Next one, I'll wait. I'll save that one for last. But I don't know why she waited so long to open the door after she smacked him in the face. So they were having their little tussle.
Oh
She
yeah.
smacks him in the face, and then she just waits.
For
And I'm like, "You're
dramatic,
next to the door. Open the door and go."
there was someone off scene showing up a card. Dramatic pause.
Hold it there. Wait. Now try to escape. I was so mad. I'm like, okay, she's at the door. She smacked him. Leave the room. And she just stays. And I was like, okay, yeah.
I think anybody in that scenario would smack him and then leave like right away.
Yes. Yes. And run down the stairs and scream and scream and scream
Yeah,
like he's trying to kill me.
yeah. You have a door. You have a the door person and everything that's
Yeah.
like everywhere.
He knows everything. He has your key. Like,
Yeah, he's everything.
and then the last thing I disliked was the the hood. I put quote unquote hood scene. So when she goes to the hood to go into that
Oh,
the
seems like a
murderer's
random.
apartment,
Yeah,
that was so corny. Like they had the most stereotypical stuff, like
and then
guys
she knows
throwing
like
dice,
every single like
every
language too.
language. Like, lady, how many languages do you know? Just start speaking Spanish. Oh, she's good. Let her up. It's like, what?
Yeah, and like everyone's just hanging around doing nothing. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they typically do. They're hanging around right there.
They just throw dice and sit on walls. Like, come on. They sell drugs upstairs. I was
Yeah.
so mad when I watched that scene. Like, this
Eh,
is some bull.
that's like what is it called, or what is it when like they make those white savior movies where it's like the white
Oh
person
yeah.
coming into the
What is that?
minority
Freedom
areas.
Riders?
I don't know. There's one that's like she like teaches all of them to dance and everything. There's a bunch of
Oh
them, and
shoot,
it's
what is that one? That's not Save
was
the
it?
Last Dance. That's when the black guy teaches the white chick how to dance.
Is it? Yeah, that's okay. So they flipped the
Oh no,
script.
that's Antonio Banderas. There's one with Antonio Banderas when he teaches a bunch of inner city kids to dance. That's actually a good movie, but similar situation.
I don't know, but yeah, that scene, yeah, that seemed pretty out of it. Where it's like, just seemed odd,
Yeah,
and then
it's
she's
like we
wearing her
don't
like
need
fur
this.
coat and everything.
That's when they should have did a bunch of cuts. Just have her at her apartment, and then she's at this random murderer's apartment. I don't need to see her going into the apartment.
True, true. I think yeah, I think that would have been a better kind of play in that scenario.
Yeah,
Because it's like you're adding context that like there was no reason for that context, and it's like
exactly.
why, like who, I guess like people want to build this world around their movies, but like it was that necessary? Like you
No, they didn't do a very good job on
yeah,
that one.
I don't know.
Yeah, so that was my last dislike.
Well, we can get
Very angry.
to our ratings. I typically don't look at your rating before we do these things, and
Okay,
but the moment I opened up my letterbox app, it
it was
showed your
there.
rating. And I was like, well, we're gonna talk about it in like 10 minutes. but but I gave it a 3.5, and
Oh
I
shit.
see,
Okay.
yeah. So you too, right?
I did also, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's like because I was like I was like just like comparing it to the David Fincher the game and everything, and it no matter what, it's a good story. It's even Patty, she saw it. I think she said she saw it like a long time ago,
Mhm.
or like her parents were watching it, like in like when you like you stay up too late and your parents are watching something that like typically they don't watch around their children, like
Yeah.
these suspenseful like murderous movies and stuff. And so she said that she caught glimpses of it and everything. She thought it was a good story, and
Okay.
so yeah, I enjoyed it. But I think that comparison to the game and everything, um, I think just kind of killed it in my head. Where it's like all the way through, I was like, oh, this like just thinking about the game, just
Fincher wouldn't do this.
right. And what it's like David Finch. No, that's is it David Lynch? David Lynch was the one that
No, Eraserhead.
yeah, but David Lynch's birthday was like a couple days ago.
Oh man, I didn't know
Yeah, but why'd you give it 3.5 stars?
that. Because I think the same reason. Like I enjoyed the story. I actually liked the twist at the end, and that they had so many twists throughout the movie that you weren't kind of just watching as this guy's life crumbles. I like that there was twists and turns, and yeah, I overall enjoyed the movie. There were definitely comparisons to the game and a little bit of Wall Street because of the whole Gordon Gekko rich guy thing with Michael Douglas. But it was a
Oh, I
good it
gotta
was a good
watch that
movie.
movie. I gotta watch that movie.
Yeah, yeah. Don't watch the second one, but watch the first one.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah. But what for me, if I were to buy the game and
Mhm.
for my personal movie collection, which I probably do see myself buying, I
Yeah,
probably would buy this one. Just as
I
like
would
a
too.
comparison. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
would
think
too.
just like, oh, like here's the game. It's almost the same story, but it's like in a different aspect. But as
You got to
Michael
show people
Douglas,
this one first, though. Show people
you
A Perfect
think?
Murder
Yeah, I
first,
guess
and
so,
then
right?
show them the game.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, okay. Then we know why this was different.
Like you
That's true.
see, right? They're good, but this one's a little bit better.
Yeah, I think no matter what, like the perfect murder is like a like those campy films that like you can like watch it like if you don't know what else to watch and you're like you turn off all the lights on a Friday afternoon or Friday evening, you've had way too much to drink and stuff, and you want to put on something, and you have popcorn and stuff, and you just want to listen or watch a movie that you can pay attention to, but you don't. You just like it, you can kind of enjoy it. I think it's one of those movies that you just like put on and just be mesmerized by, and then be fine with it.
Yeah. Like it's not going to keep you up at night. It's just like a quick,
Yeah,
enjoyable movie.
yeah. But all right, Kai, you want to take us out?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn. I'm Kai.
And I'm Jason, and we'll be back next week for another one.